Good morning. In the recent global recession, Canada has done better than its peers among the advanced countries, but the global recovery does remain fragile. That's why the economy remains the #1 priority for Canadians. That is also why the economy is the #1 priority for our government. And it is why all spring and summer ministers and government MPs have been tightly focused on our economy, working hard to navigate our way through a world of great uncertainty. One thing has become abundantly clear. Our economic action plan needs time to run its course. Canada cannot afford to interrupt this green shoot of a recovery with an unnecessary election. Canadians need the government and Parliament to continue to work on Canada's economic action plan. That brings us to why we are here today. The work of Parliament depends on the maturity and wisdom of key members. And one upon whom a great deal of this load fell is moving on. I speak, of course, of the Honourable Jay Hill. As Leader of the Government in the House of Commons, Jay sought cooperation and operated with determination. But as you know, Mr. Hill recently announced that he will not stand as a candidate at the next general election. To succeed him as Government House Leader, I have therefore chosen one of the most experienced and senior ministers, the Honourable John Baird. I've given John a very clear mandate to continue to move our agenda forward, to make sure we stay the course at this time of global uncertainty. John is trusted and respected by his colleagues with a deserved reputation for getting things done. I have every confidence in John, and it is for that reason I have entrusted him with this important new role. As a result of John's promotion, I am announcing 2 more appointments to fine-tune the ministry. The Honourable Chuck Straw will replace John Baird as Minister of Transport, Infrastructure and Communities. During his time as Minister of Indian Affairs and Northern Development, Chuck has done tremendous work on difficult issues. In his new position, Chuck will drive progress on thousands of economic stimulus projects across Canada, projects to provide jobs, lay the foundation for future growth, and give Canadians, working Canadians, new hope. His sound and steady judgment will serve him well as he takes on this new challenge. Finally, John Duncan enters the ministry to replace Chuck as Minister of Indian Affairs and Northern Development. John is an experienced, long-serving member of from British Columbia, a respected representative for his riding, and a valuable member of our team. John's solid work as Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Indian Affairs and Northern Development makes him a natural choice for this role. I want to congratulate all 3 ministers and wish them all success. Finally, I would just like to take this opportunity of publicly thanking Jay Hill for his service to the country over the past 17 years. Jay and I have been colleagues for a long time. In fact, I have been working with Jay in various capacities now for 23 years, since before we were elected, in fact. His faithful work, first on the backbenches, later on committees, and variously as Chief Government Whip, Secretary of State, and Leader of the Government in the House of Commons, has been of immeasurable value to his party, to this government, and ultimately to our country. Jay Hill will be missed on both sides of the House. He has been the ideal colleague and friend, and of course I wish him and Leah well as they prepare to move on to new adventures. I'll take a couple of questions.
Okay, we'll have time for a few questions. We'll start with Craig Oliver, CTV.
How worried are you about what seems to be, over a period of months, a steep decline in support for your party? And do you think if the economy looks like it may be slipping back into recession, your government is ready with a new stimulus program?
First of all, I don't accept the premise of the question, but that said, Craig, Canadians' focus is the economy. That is the government's focus. I wouldn't jump to that conclusion. Look, the job numbers today indicate what we have been saying. The global recovery remains fragile. Our unemployment rate is 1.5 points below the United States. That's both a strength, but it also indicates the troubles that remain in the global economy. It's not going to be all smooth sailing. The trend lines have generally been good, but at the moment, I certainly don't see any indication of a second stimulus. As you know, the the Governor of the Bank of Canada has been raising interest rates, which is a pretty strong indication economically that the next focus should be reducing our deficit rather than increased stimulus. But we will, of course, monitor these things. But as I say, the economy remains fragile, and we understand the news isn't always going to be good.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Before the last election, your government cut some arts funding to some groups, and as you said during the campaign, some of it was going to some elites that seem to be out of touch with mainstream Canada. Some federal funds are now going in part to stage a play, which is a revisionist portrayal of a convicted terrorist, and I wondered what you'd make of that now.
Well, as you know, I think we're concerned. I think a lot of Canadians are concerned by that. We're living in an era where terrorism is a real and growing threat across the world. Thousands of people have died in recent years in terrorist acts, and terrorism is a real threat in this country. And I just think most Canadians would find anything that glorifies terrorism to be abhorrent. That's it. Thanks, everyone.